Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start. If you have any of the cards with questions on them, just slink them on down here to Karen, and we'll try to sneak them in. I'm Terry McCullough. I'm president of the Weber County League of Women Voters, and tonight I have with me some handy assistants, Mandy Shale, Jane Martin, Julie Draper, Karen Thurber, awesome people that have come to help. So if you have questions or anything, grab a hold of them. Not type though. What we do as the League of Women Voters is we're nonprofit, nonpartisan. We try to educate voters on candidates, issues. We spend a lot of time registering voters. We participate in as many civic activities as we can. We partner with other groups, but they have to be nonpartisan. For this particular occasion, we are partnered with NAACP, Boulder Way Forward, Women's Work of Ogden, and MWEG, Mormon Women for Ethical Government. There are publishing people, they publicize it. They don't do anything with the setup. We keep control of that for debates and forums. So we'd love to have you take a look at a card. It's a Vote 411 card. It's a white card, some of you have it. If you look at that, there's a QR code on there. If you know someone or you are not registered to vote, quickly go on that QR code and get yourself registered. If you have kids that are 16 or 17, they may pre-register. Have them register when they're 18, a ballot will appear at their door. If you want to change it so that you get a mail-in ballot, if you've already been registered, we do have other registration forms where you can re-register or go online. I think you could probably use that QR code, and there's a box you can check. If you do not check it, in 2029, you will have to go to the polls. So now's the time, go home, get it checked if that's how you like your ballot to come. What this also does is if you go to vote411.org, put in your address, it'll pull up the candidates that you get to choose to vote for. Each one of them have been asked questions, a bunch of questions, and it gives you an opportunity to get to know them a little bit, because our biggest complaint is, well, I don't know who to vote for. I'm not voting, I don't know who they are. So go learn about them. Also Google their name and you can usually find a website about them. Okay, do you guys have any questions? You're moving. Okay.
Are you done yet?
No, we're not done. Okay, this is how this rolls. They get 2 minutes first to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves. Then I'll ask them some questions that you've given me or questions that we've done some research on. We do not attack questions. We don't take one person and attack them. And we do not beat a dead dog. Once it's asked, I try to get them all in the same basic question, and we try to cover it with that. Then at the end, they'll have a minute and a half to tell you why you should be voting for them. They are the person that you want to represent you. Any problems, questions? Okay, we're ready to go.
Who's the timer?
Oh. Are you timing, John?
30 seconds.
You got to put your Viber.
We're good.
Oh, you're good? Okay, cool. Oh, that's the other thing, I just saw Jaden. This is being live streamed on Weber County League of Women Voters. It will stay on that page on Facebook for 30 days. And we are also zooming you, and I will send all of the candidates the Zoom link. And if you want to watch it on Zoom, email one of them and they'll give it to you, or sometimes they put it on their website or whatever, but you have 2 different ways to be able to get you to watch it and anyone else in your family or that's interested and could not come. There's the timer. Julie's the timer. And 30 seconds, she'll hold up the purple paddle. And at 1 minute, or 1 minute, 2 minutes, whatever the time is, when she'll hold up stop. We do, no, we don't hold. We expect you to stop. Or she will beat you with that paddle.
So we get 1 minute to answer the question.
The reason for 1 minute on the answering of the questions is a lot of times in life, as an elected official, You're stopped, ask a question, and they're not gonna give you 4 minutes to answer it. So you gotta give them an answer. You gotta be thinking, okay? 1 minute can be long, can be short. I would suggest you just get to the point. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and start. Randy, you start with the first 2 minutes, all about you.
Perfect. Oh. It's hello. There we go. Well, first and foremost, thank you to the league for putting this on. It's always a pleasure to look and see all the civic engagement you go through and do to go out and educate voters. My name is Randy Scadden. I am currently serving on the Roy City Council. I'm coming up on the end of my 4-year term, but I am actually seeking just the 2-year term that is actually up for on the ballot. I have been in Roy for the better part of 40 years. I see a lot of, my groupies up here in the audience. And so thank you also all for coming out and supporting and getting to know all the different various candidates. Having grown up in Roy for 40 years, I've seen many, changes. When I was growing up, I grew up over by Roy Elementary. And Roy Elementary, pretty much Roy ended at 3100. Everything below 3100 was just open fields. I moved to Roy back in the mid-80s, and I think at that point in time, I want to say our city was roughly 15 to 18,000 people. We have now, we're close to, and we will more than likely be pushing over 40,000 people with the additional rooftops that we'll have coming into the city. And so, as a current city council member, I do want to still continue to serve on city council to see through some of the different various projects that I've started, as well as to continue to facilitate community outreach and engagement. And one thing that you'll particularly find with me is if you do have a problem or an issue, I'm very, very readily available to basically advocate for you as a constituent and make sure that you're getting the best experience you possibly can as a constituent. So again, thank you to the league for putting this on, and on to the next candidate.
Thank you. Alexis?
Flip it on, and then it takes a sec to.
Oh, I don't like, okay.
It's actually better, it picks up better than I thought.
Is it? Okay. Hi, I'm Alexis Jackson, and I live in Roy by Emma Russell Park with my husband of 11 years and my 3 children.
Lean forward.
We do have to lean forward.
out.
All right, that's right. I'll do that. Professionally, I'm a sign language interpreter and also run a small side business where I help the applicants that are seeking positions in graduate schools in medical programs, write their admissions essays, and also resumes and cover letters. I have a Bachelor of Integrated Studies from Weber State, where I studied English and language. I also served as the honor student senator during my time there. Currently, I hold a position on the Weber County Ramp Board, where we review applications for projects around the county and review their project plans and their budgets, and then recommend funding to the county commission. I am on the Head Start Policy Council. This is my 4th year with them, and this year I'll be serving as their chair. During my time with Ogden Weber Community Action Partnership, or OWCAP, I also was able to serve on the Finance Executive Planning Committees and also now the Board of Directors. I also, at Weber State, was on the Walker Institute of Politics and Public Service during my time there. As a volunteer, I'm invested in my community, and I spend a lot of time working for the betterment of that community and the people that I'm around. I volunteer a lot with the Major Brent Taylor Foundation, as well as on professional writing projects for West Haven City and Weber County. Also, I have done some work with Farmington High, just doing some professional writing projects for them by volunteer. I also volunteer in the PTA and at my children's schools. Also spend some time coaching their soccer teams. I do love investing my time in things that I feel are important. Just a little bit about me, I guess, just for fun. I'm into all ball sports except basketball. I don't do that one. I do like whitewater kayaking and rock climbing. Also, I love swing dancing. So those are kind of some unique things. I also am a pianist and a vocalist and a composer.
Ann?
So my name is Ann Jackson. My family moved to Roy in 1959. And so I went to Roy Elementary, Roy Junior High, Roy High School, where I do work at Roy High School now in the office part-time. This is my 17th year. I coached all of my children. I have 4 of them. And I They all play softball and baseball, and I'm a real big supporter of team sports and Roy Rec. I think it teaches kids a lot of things. First of all, a skill, sportsmanship, and just how to get along with other kids. It's just a big thing that I love, softball especially. I started my own personal business, a home-based business in 1989, so I could be a stay-at-home mom and be room mother, PTA president, and all those things, plus coach all of my children. I been on the council for 5 years. I am the co-chairman of the beautification committee. Believe it or not, back in the 1960s, Roy City was named the most beautiful city. And I would love to bring that back to Roy. It's really a big thing for me. We will be having a new program that will start next year that Diane Wilson helped facilitate. And we are working, it's called My Town Ogden right now. But we've already been accepted into this, and they are gonna help us try to make Roy City beautiful again. I love being on the council, and I feel like I have a lot more to offer. I have 6 grandchildren that still live in Roy, 2 brothers that are 77 and 81 years old. And so I want to make sure we have a good city and good fire and good police in case anything ever happens to any of my family. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming, and thank you for the league for having this. My name is Mike Van Alphen. I've been a citizen, Roy, for about 40 years. I went to Roy High. I grew up in Hooper. I graduated from Roy High, and I've watched the city grow. I work at Lifetime Products. I've been there just going on 26 years. For 30 years, I worked with cities throughout Utah and neighboring states and coordinated a lot of large events, always based on what people wanted. During that time, I've learned real results from coming to know your strengths, admitting your weaknesses, and building a strong team. I'm not a politician, never have been. I'm a citizen who wants to see real change and have decided to run for mayor. And I want to take action. I won't have the most polished questions tonight. What I will have is honest answers. Genuine. I'm running for mayor because I care about the people of the city, and like many of us, I believe we're overdue for fresh eyes on old issues, such as sustainable housing growth, lack of strong business revenue, and the historical high taxation that was just recently voted on. If we keep going down the same road, we're going to have the same results. That's what I want to change. So I think Roy deserves better than what we've recently had. And that's all I have.
I'm staying in this seat because I can't stand up. So I'm staying in this seat, it doesn't mean I don't respect these people. Alexis, I'm gonna move on to you. Road construction has been a major problem in the city. And it is unavoidable. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. But name one suggestion that you have that would increase safety around these specific areas where all the road construction is.
Yeah, certainly here, as you said, it's not avoidable when that infrastructure has to be approved or when it has to be brought in. And I think it's also important to realize who owns the roads that are being constructed. So a big project right now is 5600 and the interchange there, the freeway. And that is, to my understanding, UDOT property. So that's a UDOT project. And so what I think we can do as a city to be cooperative when they present their plans and how the phases of their project and moving forward, is that we can be cooperative. I remember when that very first U-turn, it was very first implemented temporarily, that I was actually on the ride along with the police station at that time. It was like the day or the day after that it was implemented, and he said, oh yes, it was a sergeant. He said, oh yes, you're gonna see a lot of of our officers pulling people over here because they're there to educate. And he's like, they weren't taking those people, they were pulling over to say, hey, this is a major traffic pattern that has changed, and they wanted them to be aware of that. So I think what the city can really do is to just be cooperative and to understand the phases of the project, especially on places that are, Roy property.
Okay.
So as you know, I have lived in Roy a long time, and the bridge and Kevin's, the first time they did it, my parents had passed away before they did that. I don't know how they could have handled that. I know that the 6,000 roundabout is supposed to open, I believe, walk through today with UDOT, and hopefully that will alleviate a lot of the congestion on 1900, because people have to drive to 5600 to go down. And I hope that will help. And like she said, UDOT does run 1900 and 5600. And so we're at their beck and mercy, of what they do. But I feel that it's moved along pretty fast. I think that once we do get the bridge done, and I think they are ahead of schedule. Luckily, we've had good weather that has helped them, that it will, open up 1900, so maybe Wendy's can get some customers, because I know that is a hard place to get to right now. I've tried it a couple of times. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. Road traffic or road construction is all over the place in Roy. What kinds of things can you suggest or implement that would increase safety?
Well, that's a tough question. Some of the roads, like Ann said, are state roads, and we don't have much control over those. A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of the roads that we have in our city are not under construction at the moment. Most of the roads that are going are having construction are state roads. Right now, I don't know that there's a lot that we can do. That was something that we would need a team of people to get together to come up with the best results to make it safer.
Randy?
So let's quickly, so we got 5,600, we've got 4,400, we've got 6,000. Pop quiz, which one of those is a Roy City owned road? Only 6,000. 5,600, 1,900, 3,500 are all UDOT owned properties. Now, the one thing that I would highly suggest is UDOT typically has communications teams that do come into city councils and give us updates in terms of the different various things that are going on with it. As an example, they came in and let us know when they were doing the U-turn, which, by the way, just by raising hands, who's glad that that's no longer a thing? Yeah, exactly, thank you. But that's the thing is there's a lot of it that is currently out there. It's just a matter of being able to know where to go look. UDOT, again, has communications teams. We go through and we post things on our Facebook pages. There's multiple different Facebooks and community pages that different people within the community go through and try to educate everybody within the community. So again, there is a bit of responsibility as citizens. Thank you.
Okay, starting with Ann.
Is it working now?
We're back.
Starting with Ian, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing Roy right now?
I think keeping our fire and our police from going to other cities for higher wages is a big problem right now. I know people weren't fond of the 28% tax increase, which is basically $9 a month on a $432,000 home. We had firemen at our Truth and Taxation meeting that were waiting to see if they were going to stay in Roy City or were they going to have to leave, because they already had offers to other cities to work. If we can't keep our veteran fire and our police here, like I said, I have a younger brother, an older brother, two older brothers that live here. If anything happened to my brothers or to my children, I want someone who has experience. And the only way you get experience on the fire department is by being on the fire department and going out on calls. And it is a family that lives together. And our chief is doing everything he can to try to keep that family together.
I think one of our biggest problems right now is we're congested, extremely congested. You can't get anywhere very fast. we just keep building more and more houses that the roadways can't handle. We don't have the resources that, we need to sustain all the housing that's growing in. That's what I believe is one of the biggest problems among a handful of others.
The biggest issue, I'm gonna echo Ann's sentiment and then also kind of piggyback off of what Mike said as well. I mean, going back to the initial question that we led with, there are improvements that we're trying to go through and make to alleviate some of the transportation issues within the actual city. But, you know, we are in a competitive wage scenario with all of our peers for police, fire, as well as broadly almost any city municipality employee could take their skill set and go elsewhere. And what you do want is you want people to, like Ann's point, when my, mother or some other elderly individual within the community has some type of medical emergency, I want the best and brightest who has seen the most calls to be able to go through and render the proper service. And if we don't address the shortcomings in our compensation for our police and fire, you legitimately risk people's lives is fundamentally what it comes down to. So again, you have to ask yourself, what is it like?
I would say the biggest challenge right now is the tax revenue that is being threatened in a couple of different avenues. And the reason I say that that is the biggest challenge versus, can we pay personnel? Why is it not, transportation? I think is because if with this tax revenue at stake, if we lose it, it's going to cause the necessity for a renegotiation of the entire budget, because that is money that is would have been in the budget that is now will no longer be there. And so that's going to be the discussion that's going to be the challenge. So what's the biggest challenge? That discussion. Having to sit there and really kind of work through that whole puzzle of what is it we then want to pay for with the money that we're left with. And that's what I think would be, I would say, the biggest challenge is going to be that direction that we have to move toward.
Thank you. Okay. We'll start with Mike. What kinds of things I'm gonna say it this way, maybe one thing you think that Roy could do that would encourage people to become participatory in your government?
To do what?
To participate, to come to city council meetings, to come to these types of things. What could your city do, one thing?
Yeah, that's really tough. You can't make people do what they don't want to do. Honestly, I don't know what we could do at this point in time to make people come, other than just get out and invite them.
You raise taxes.
Yeah, for sure. It's just hard. You can't make people do what they don't want to do. Times are hard right now, and people are unhappy, and they see the things that are going on in the city, and they don't want to participate, even though they should, more so now than ever.
Okay, ready?
So this is like one of those age-old questions. It's like, how do you lead a horse to water? And it's tough. I mean, we go through and we post meetings online, we post meetings in Facebook groups, we invite people out, outside of bribing them, but that's illegal. You can't do that. So the better question is, does it come down to, again, controversial things bring people out. It's kind of interesting. If you want to get people to show up, say that you're going to close down catwalks, or say that you're going to take people's ability to have chickens in their backyard. There were more people that actually showed up for those than for the property tax increase. But that's the thing, that's the fundamental thing, is that there's no silver bullet that you can use to try to get people to participate. Because again, participation is upon yourself. You're only as engaged as you want to be. So there's, again, to Mike's point, there's really no clear answer. I don't know, I've been doing this for 4 years.
Public engagement looks different to different people. especially, age demographics and that kind of thing. People get their information in a variety of different ways, you see a gallery full of people at a city council meeting, and there's way more people that come out and vote. People want to be engaged and want information. So it is fortunate that we do have other avenues to get that information there. Like Randy was saying, important info is posted online on the Facebook page. It's on YouTube. You can go and you can rewatch the council meetings and the commission meetings, planning commission meetings. So that is available to people. I wonder if it would be possible to reach out and see if we can survey the ways that people want to be contacted about this information. And also, I like the idea that is already happening actually in the newsletter. It's just giving a little snapshot of what was done in the previous council meeting, because then people know if they just want that Reader's Digest version, that's all I can handle right now with my schedule, but I do want engagement, I do want information, then they get as much as they want. So I think just having a spectrum of how much you can get to people.
So I know that we have discussed this a lot. We used to have a little booklet that we used to mail out. They had all the events of the city and everything that was coming up. But then it started to get the booklet out and all the events had already passed. And it was pretty expensive. So we decided to do away with that. And now we're doing the letter in the water bill, but that only goes out to people who own property, who own a home. And so I have a lot of friends that are older who don't have internet access, who don't even know what Facebook is, which I'm grateful for. And they were like, how do I even know? I didn't know that you had a debate. I don't know how to get the information out. So we have talked about having things, letters over at the Hope Center, at the Senior Center, information, talked about different ways that we could try to reach everybody in the city, not those that just have own property or people that don't have a computer.
Now, this is a public question, so we have verified this information. Exactly which line items do you propose to cut to balance the $1.4 million budget shortfall? We're starting with Randy.
Ooh, wow, talk about doing something controversial. This is where it gets difficult, right? Because I'm already on the record, going back to when we initially provided the funding for the complex, I voted against it. And I would still probably list that as at least in the top three. We do have interlocal agreements with Weber Fire District. So, maybe even potentially, and I hate to even say this, because it legitimately makes me sick to my stomach, but possibly shutting down our secondary fire station that's on the west side. We could go through and look at implementing some hiring freezes for part-time positions, as well as some potential, full-time positions, but that just makes the quality of life of our employees even worse. And so we're going to have effectively forced attrition, which I'm on the record, if you go back to and watch city council meetings, I'm not a fan of forced attrition. So again, if you want to see thank you.
First, just to be clear, there's nothing I would cut by myself because it would be a council of 5 people, and that's a discussion that would ensue before we were able to take any action together. But I heard the $1.4 million, yeah. If by chance the referendum is successful and and that money was not able to come in, to me, that would be the voice of residents saying we do not want to pay for certain things, and that would mean budget cuts, and that would be the residents speaking up and saying we expect cuts to be coming. And so with that in mind, there are certain things that you would consider. I think that the complex is a good thing to consider because it does cost a lot of money. And I know that there were residents that came out in support of the complex at the time, and if a referendum passes, you have residents now saying we don't want to pay for something. That's the balance I'm talking about when I'm saying that budgeting is a balance. You cannot have your cake and eat it too.
So the biggest meeting that we ever had since I've been on council was all those who were in support of the complex. To hear the stories of the seniors, gets them out of bed, helps them recover from surgeries. We have 3 swim teams that use that complex. I do not want to see our fire station go away because everyone below the tracks, if there's a train, it's a matter of life and death. You could, you know, if our services couldn't get to you. I know that we need to cut back. I mean, we already cut back, every department did cut back, and they never did get their budget back this year. We're already down 2 firemen. We're down a policeman who just put in his papers today. Public Works is down, and so, but I know, I just felt that we should have been doing a 2 or 3% tax increase every year rather than just to stay up with inflations like a lot of other cities do, and just to keep our city running, but it's, thank you.
Can you repeat that, please?
I did again. Okay. Sorry, no problem. Oh. Wait, 12 hours up, okay.
Exactly which line items do you propose to cut to balance the $1.4 million budget shortfall?
I believe that the whole city, every part of the entity of the city can be looked at. Just like you do at your house, if you decide you need to save money at your house, you start looking at all the things that you can do to save money. There's plenty of things, I guarantee you, in the city that can save the city money. Small things like, for instance, city employees driving city vehicles home, that costs us all money. We have to pay wear and tear on that vehicle, oil changes, tires, just little things like that. But I'm sure somewhere, everywhere in the entities in the city can be looked at, and there's going to be money to be saved, I guarantee it.
Okay, we started trying, okay, Alexis, name a strategy that you would like to implement to enhance the mental health and the well-being of your residents.
That's nice.
That's an excellent question. I wish I'd had more time to think about that, but everybody else. A strategy. One thing I know about mental health is that a first line of defense against mental health problems is a good diet and good exercise and good spiritual health. So if there are programs, if there are events that can be used to bring the community together and to get people moving and engaged with each other, I think that would be a good step. Yeah, I would love to I'd love to chew on that for a while. That's awesome. Thank you for that question.
So speaking of mental health, working at a high school, I see a lot of kids and our mental health specialist who has students in her office every day. They struggle with, I think social media has a lot to do with it. I'm glad they didn't have that when I was growing up, and I wish my grandkids didn't have it. But I see the mental health of our policemen and our firemen too, who have to go and see horrible things and then have to go home and be a dad and a husband and try to erase those horrible things from their minds. And so I think mental health, we do have mental health. They do go and see people for that. And I know the schools help out with mental health. And I think the complex helps with mental health. Those people go over there and actually meet people and talk to people. And that really is mental health for the elderly.
I'm with Ann on this. I think by having events in the city, new events in the city, along with some of the old ones that we have, get people out to do things. Because I know that when I go out and do things, I'm a lot better mood, I'm happier. And if we can do that with, whether it's older people or young people, get them off of the computers, the games, well, kids anyway. I think that's really good for mental health. I mean, we all know that's a big problem in our country, but we got to start in the city would be a good start anyway.
So you think being the last one, I'd have like the best response, but I don't. But I mean, a lot of it, I think, from a mental health perspective, I mean, if I look out in the audience right now, there's half a dozen of you that are all looking at your phones. And so And again, that's a predominant thing, especially in youth. And going back to, again, I mentioned the complex, but one of the things that I would like to see the complex used for, and again, fitness is one of those areas that can definitely help you with your mental health, is look to, get more programs actually up and going for the youth at the complex, maybe like right directly after school. Maybe it is I don't want to say necessarily a direct competitor to like the Boys and Girls Club, but the Boys and Girls Club has a waiting list of students that want to go into the program after. So why not take, and from a mental health perspective, look to do something similar with the complex? If we're going to keep it in the community, then let's make sure that we're taking and leveraging it to its fullest extent. And again, we already,
We're starting with, let's begin.
Starting with Ann on this question. What are your plans to attract more businesses to Roy?
Well, as of,
Would you repeat
Okay.
the question? I couldn't hear you.
What will I do to attract more businesses to Roy? That's the question. As of now, we've had more developers looking to build in Roy City than in the past 10 years. It's exciting news. I can't go into any details, but it's, a lot of developers want to come to Roy. We're just a great access right off the freeway, and they feel that they can bring some businesses, that will help Roy. Because I know we need them, then we have tax revenue, we don't have to have, property taxes. And so as of now, Roy's looking, to a bright future, with businesses coming to Roy.
I look at the surrounding cities, Riverdale, Clinton. And I see some of the businesses that are going on there, that attract people to go to them, that's bringing in revenue for them cities. I think that, Roy could join with them contractors and bringing these types of businesses in, because I think these businesses is what we need. We need these businesses that's gonna bring people to this city, to bring in revenue.
so this is, again, one of those age-old questions, and again, there's no silver bullet, because when you look as an example, everybody's like, well, why didn't we get Trader Joe's? Well, we already have 4 or 5 grocery stores. And then why is Clearfield getting like a hotel? And it's because the capital requirements for a hotel, if you know somebody that has $100 million sitting around and wants to build a hotel, then have them get in contact with Roy City. But to Ann's point, there are a lot of things that are in the works that will go through and help us to increase like the commercial tax base. Because the interesting thing with the commercial tax base is that we collect as a city 100% of that. Whereas opposed on a residential property, we have to split that up between multiple different tax entities. So there are things that are in the works that, again, we can't like deeply go into, but there are some good things on the horizon, and more so than we've seen in I would say, multiple decades. Thank you.
I think one thing that city officials can do is be proactive and not just wait around for businesses to walk up to Roy and say, we're interested in building in your city, and why? I think that that's something that city officials can do is take that role of kind of liaison between the city and prospective businesses who might be interested in building or in redeveloping, which is kind of probably how it's gonna be here, Roy, now that there's not a lot of unclaimed land left, so it's gonna be mostly redevelopment. I know the importance of rooftops, population to businesses. I think that's important also to know is that businesses don't just come to places out of the goodness of their hearts. They're looking for a population, for a client base. And that's, I think, important for us to also balance in the trajectory of the city is to understand that people need to be here so that sales tax can be here. I think that was everything. Thank you for letting me look into the email I've written to a resident in response to his question, which is where I just wanted to collect my thoughts from.
Turn on the citizens complained about graffiti, and a curfew was put in place. How is that working and do you support it? And we'll start with Mike. The curfew to stop graffiti, and I think there was also some damage being done to some of the parks.
I don't know much about the graffiti or the curfew that was in place. I haven't been around the city, that I've seen that, so I can't really speak on that and say that it's gotten better or worse.
So I believe what we're talking about is the graffiti that happened at Roy West Park, where you just had a graffiti artist go through and tag the bathroom. So because we have a fantastic community, we actually had somebody within the community take it upon themselves to go in and actually repaint that. Post that, again, there's always been a curfew, but it's one of those things that, you know, it wasn't like horribly enforced, but now that it is, I'm 100% in support of it. Because after that graffiti incident happened, I just happened to, you know, be out and about one night and drove down there. And I mean, there were people going through the park, nothing nefarious, but there were still people. And what most people don't realize is our parks do close down at 10 p.m. And so the other thing that we took as an actual council, right after I got on board, was like the vandalism that was actually also happening within our bathrooms, where people were legitimately like tearing the sinks off the wall. And to go through and replace that was costing the city tens of thousands of dollars with which to go through and repair those.
I had a resident also reach out to me about this. It was nice to be able to investigate it after he had asked me about it. That his son wasn't able to use the restroom at a soccer game, and you know what's being done. And so I did look actually into it, and I found that they had set those curfews and they had been working on it. And I asked how it was working, and they reported that it had been approved. So that was good to know. There is a program I'm aware of, and I don't know if, actually I do know because I saw it in the budget presentation that it was considered, and that's VIPS, Volunteers in Policing Service. And I don't know if that has, been considered, not as a form of kind of, to make a budget, address budget needs, but as something else, I would definitely be interested in this. This wonderful resident was also said, hey, let me know if something like this works out, because I would love to help enter my community that way. So that's great.
So I think
The graffiti is just a horrible thing. I mean, they're not only just tagging, they're doing body parts. And on trail systems, I had a mother get a hold of me and tell me that she couldn't even go on the trail because of the body parts that were spray painted on the trail. And we did take care of that when we had our community service program. But like I said, we have cameras at Emma Russell Park, and it's expensive to get cameras. It costs us thousands of dollars to monitor them. I just wish that parents just could keep their kids home after 10 o'clock or know where they're at. Maybe just because the parents know where their kids are, and then they can keep them out of trouble, and maybe at home talk about the violations of destroying public property. And I just think that the problem starts at home in teaching the kids to respect the city and to respect the places where they play.
Question starts with Randy. When questions about expanding the city government programs, what would guide you to approve or not approve more programs or services?
I guess it really fundamentally comes down to basically the community outreach, right? Because I am a voice of the people, and if there were enough people that wanted me to expand a program, and or in the case of, say, like the complex, I mean, there was quite a few people that actually came out and supported that. And again, on the record, I did initially vote against it, but after the rest of the council spoke and the community at large spoke, I went ahead and provided all the additional funding to get the facility back up and on its feet. And that was mainly because it felt like that was what the will of the people were. So again, if there was enough community support for the expansion of really any program, I would be definitely in favor of it, because that's what an elected representative should do, is they should represent the wants and needs of their constituents.
Can you
Can you repeat that question? I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood it.
Sorry, I turn this back on now.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
When questions about expanding the city government programs, what will guide you to approve or not approve more programs or services?
I think that will largely depend on what residents want to pay for. I think that, community outreach is a great idea anyway for volunteers. Youth council is a great resource there. People do get involved, I think, in projects that they like. I used to say, the Easter egg hunt can't be made even better with the help of volunteers. So perhaps there's some reaching out to request help from volunteers in the city that might even make some of those a little bit more robust. So I think the ability to garner the work or the engagement from people and balancing that with what we can pay for. And then I think that striking a great balance there is I think what's going to get the job done.
So I think the programs, like you did away with the scavenger hunt for Halloween because that was too costly. We still have the Easter egg hunt because that is paid for by Waste Management. We just have to pay for a few employees that come and do that. I would like to have the residents come to our council meetings and come to more programs. I know we have the Halloween decorating contests for homes and the Christmas one. And I just love that we do that, and Glenda Moore has been a big part of getting that going. On the Beautiful Yard of the Month program, trying to get people to have pride in their yards and do Xeriscape. And I think those are some programs that have been really popular for Roy City. Anything that could promote beauty in the city and to bring residents together to get to, communicate with each other and children. I think we could get more programs for rec. We used to have lots of different programs in the rec program too, but thank you.
I think these are all good answers, and I pretty much have the same thing. I think that the residents need to get involved however we can. But I think that before anything gets moved on, the council and the mayor can go out and talk to people and see what they want to do, and see, get together and see what programs can be put together that's not going to be too costly, that can provide a good entertainment for the people.
Okay, but we'll start with Alexis. I lost my page. Okay, Roy's crime rate is lower right now than the national average. Why do you feel that this is the case? And tell me one thing that would keep it at that level or lower.
If that's the truth, I haven't studied national average, so we're just going to take that at face value. And
I got it off of Google.
oh, she's done the research. We're good. It's been fact checked. Thank you. The police force certainly needs to be supported, and I think that really goes hand in hand with their funding. When I met with the police chief and then when I went on the ride along, I learned that was one of the biggest challenges was the well-trained and the well-experienced officers who were finding better pay and better jobs than they were leaving, and the department's collective years of experience therefore is dropping, and that in the future that can spell danger for our city. And so I think we need to make sure that we keep that department funded correctly, and we got to generate revenue to do that.
So I think that the police, Chief Nguyen does a fantastic job. I've gone to their banquets and watched the videos of the things that they endure and the things that they have done. And they have done a great job protecting Roy City. I mean, we have Kay Hargis here, who was a policeman when I was little. He knew my husband by first name, by the way. And so, but I just feel that Roy City with our police department, getting out there, I wish we could bring the programs back where they go to the elementary schools and interact with the kids and get them to know the policemen more. We do have resource officers in every school now, and that is really good because they have communication and get to know the kids. And that has worked out really good at Roy High and at the junior highs. And so I think having those resource officers in the schools and that communication with those children to know that they can come to a policeman if they have any issues, I think is a great program also.
I believe also that the police have been doing a good job. I think that we don't have just the people in Roy causing crimes, there's people from outside the city causing crimes as well. So we can't just tell the people in Roy, take care of your kids, as much as we kind of like to. But it's always a good thing that, like the saying goes, if you see something, say something. You know, people can also, you know, watch out for the neighborhoods.
So one thing that is kind of unique with Roy, and Roy PD in particular, is we do take a very criminal-promoted perspective. And especially, you know, when you talk about Chief Wynn. Chief Wynn has spent the entirety of his career at Roy City PD. What also a lot of people don't realize about Chief Wynn as well is the fact that Roy, I call it a twofer. We get a two-for with Chief Wynn because he's also a state legislature. And so from a crime perspective, he is very, very adamantly aware of the crime that's happening within the community. And he's able to go out and legislate not only for Roy, but the broader community at large. And I mean, he's passed some very, very sweeping legislation that has like really helped Roy PD and lots of other different police departments. And again, he has fostered this culture from let's grow from within. And I think that's, you know, that's just team cohesiveness. Thank you.
Starting with Ann, and given that you're facing a referendum coming up on property tax increase, the question from the public is, what would you do to reduce the property tax burden on residents?
Well, the main reason we had the tax increase this year was, like I said, was for our public safety. And I know that we have a lot of county programs out there for people who can't afford to pay the $9 a month or the $108 a year for their houses. And I've had even volunteers say, give me the addresses and the names of people and I will help them pay their taxes because I want to have a safe city to live in and I want to have good policemen and good firemen. And so I know that we have to work as a council to try to come up. That's why I'm excited about more revenue coming in for businesses, so we wouldn't have to have a tax increase because I'm on Medicaid and Social Security, and I don't want my taxes to keep being increased neither. I do want to retire one day, so it affects me as much as it does all the other citizens, but I do want a competent person to come to my house if anything ever happened to me. Thank you.
How would you reduce the property tax burden on residents?
I believe that we need some, like I said before, we need some entertainment businesses that come into the city that brings in revenue. And also, we can, like I said before, we can go through the city and find places that we can cut back on. There's, like I said before, I guarantee there's plenty. That will cut back, and then we, you know, that'll cut back on the spending and we won't have to have as high taxes.
So this is really a bit of a math problem, and I'll address it two different ways. The best way that we can turn around and reduce that is the math equation works out to effectively 100 households or 100 new rooftops equals $250,000 in net new revenue that comes into the city. So there's that aspect. There's the other aspect of when you look at the best way with which you can turn around and help to generate sales tax revenue into the city coffers It is to go out and eat at the different various restaurants that are actually in Roy, because they actually have a higher tax rate than what you actually pay when you go to the grocery store. And so you pay a bit of a premium when you go and you, take advantage of the different various restaurants that are out in Roy. And then, that also goes into, with the fact that we've got like the developments that are in the works, that'll also increase rooftops and number of bodies and, thank you.
My understanding about the referendum is that if it did come to fruition, that's an all or nothing thing. And I think that having a 0% increase would actually be, that would be a huge problem for our city. The taxes that are being proposed are intended to pay for, as Anne explained, they're intended at this point to pay for our public safety departments. In the presentation from Brian Saxton at the public hearing, or at the truth and taxation hearing, he also provided relief information. And I think that was a very important part, because as I stated when I was there, the burdens that people are experiencing are not fabricated, they're not imagined, they are real. But I think that one thing that can be done to help the perceived burden, not that it's not real, but that you perceive it as a bigger, it's a more challenging burden to pay this tax when it jumps so high. So I think incremental tax increases would be a wiser strategy to approach what we need to generate in revenue.
Okay, we'll start with Mike. Name one thing that you think Roy could do instead of increasing property taxes.
Cutbacks.
Okay. Randy?
Do I have 1 minute to answer that, or is this just like a point? Is it legitimate? Do I get a minute to respond? Okay. Because again, Mike was like short and concise, and I like that, those kinds of things. As I stated before, there's any number of things. And again, I'm gonna echo a little bit of what Alexa stated, and it's just not gonna be my suggestions, it's gonna be a team effort across the entire council. I've already said, what I've said as far as different various cutbacks that I would potentially consider, including the complex, including hiring freezes, including programs. I mean, that's the thing, is we're going to, anybody that gets on council, we have some very, very, very difficult decisions that will need to be made. And it's not going to be fun. It is definitely not going to be fun for anybody that's going to be on council. So.
I think that one of the things that we could do is to entice the businesses. I don't think it's any secret. I don't know if a whole lot of people would disagree that businesses that generate sales tax are going to be helpful for that budget. Property tax, as I learned as was presented by the mayor currently, is the only controllable form of revenue for the city. It's the only thing that the city council can actually guarantee is going to come to their city. And so for that reason, I think the term instead of increasing property taxes may not be as applicable. I think that as I was saying, I think the small incremental increases to keep up with services, to stay competitive, those would be a better strategy and a better approach to solving the revenue problem. And then certainly you can start looking at things that the city residents, that they're no longer willing to pay for. And I think Randy had a few ideas. Sure, I mean, those are all things that we would bounce off, each other together in a city council meeting.
So I know that we need to cut back. We have a hiring freeze. We are short in every department as of now. But I've heard people say, do away with the rec program, do away with the complex, do with the aquatic center. So I would just think of somebody who's moving to Utah and they look into Roy City. Well, what do they have for our children? Oh gosh, they don't really have anything. But somebody who's looking to bring their children to Roy and bring their family, oh, they have a complex, they have, aquatic center, they have good rec programs. Those are things that the city should have, in my opinion. I don't think those should ever be cut, because who would want to live here? I mean, then we'd have to hire more policemen, because what are those kids going to do but to get into trouble if they don't have something to do? I just feel, but I know there needs to be cuts. Every department is already short. We already are one of the lowest paid in every department in our city, starting at the top, starting with our city manager. All the surrounding cities make more than him, and it goes all the way down. Is there things that we can do? Yes.
Last question, describe a time when you were challenged ethically, Randy.
Wow, I mean, professionally, I'm a sales guy, so, and it's my job in my capacity, as a sales, person to make sure that I operate ethically. And I have had situations and scenarios where, again, I'm a sales engineer, so just to kind of set that aside, I'm the guy there that basically makes sure that whatever the sales guy is telling is actually the truth. And so on a very, very consistent basis, I do have to go in and correct statements that individuals make that aren't ethically potentially true, so as to not mislead a potential customer. And so, you know, ethics is something that anybody and everybody should have a high degree of. And yeah, I just consider myself a very ethical person. I will tell you the forest from the trees. And all you have to do is actually have a conversation and ask me, and I will tell you. Thank you.
In my job, ethics is a huge thing, confidentiality and truth to the work. When I'm in interpreting between deaf and hearing clients, there's an expectation of me to be true to what is being said and to facilitate to that exactly with intended meaning. So for me, what that could mean is that I may have to speak, as I have done on occasion, to a doctor in a way I would not normally speak to someone like that. And that is sometimes uncomfortable for me to do because it's not me. But as I remember that job requires of me to just do the job. Even if it's not something that I agree with, that's something that I do because of who I represent. And so I think that's a transferable skill and something that does show my integrity is the ability to do that just every day. That's something where, you know, if inside I feel like this may not be the right thing to do, but this is what is expected of me right now, then that's the nature of my job.
So having
a personal business where I work with different entities, I have always had to follow the rules. And I've never mixed my business where I know that I have to follow the state statute with anything that I do. Being at the high school, I hear things and I see things in the office because that's where all the trouble comes to. And I'm sworn to keep that to myself. And I know there's kids that have come in there before that know that I know their parents or their grandparents but I, you know, I cannot call them and tell them, you know, your kid did this to your grandma. No, you know, your son did this, your grandson did this. And so I've always felt that I've had high ethics. I've always been a trustworthy person. I have never lied to anybody about anything. And so I feel that I wouldn't have a problem with anything that I do in my life with ethics.
I'll describe a time in my job as well. In my job, I have to talk to a lot of different people about a lot of different things. I don't always agree with, and it could get confrontational at times with some of the people that I do work with. But through the years of working with these types of people, I've had to learn how to deal with these situations and keep my ethics in line, which has been very challenging, but it's something that I've had to learn to do, as we all have to do. But like I said again, it's tough.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We started with Randy. So a minute and a half, tell us why you were the best person in the whole wide world to vote for. Alexis.
Wait, we're starting with Randy?
Oh, sorry, starting with Randy.
So start with me. I was like,
Oh, you can go ahead and start. Brandon.
I thought that's what you said.
That's what
You
so, okay, I was
said
confused.
Randy,
All right,
she
let's
said
go, let's go.
Alexis.
Okay.
All right, my turn. Well, first and foremost, again, thanks to the league for doing this. And thanks to every one of the candidates. I am the best person because I want to build bridges. If I don't win the election, and Alexis does, I want her to feel comfortable to be able to reach out to me. I want every one of the candidates that's actually running and or any of the candidates that were eliminated during the primary to feel free to reach out to me, because this is a team sport. This is not the Randy show. This is, we're a representative government. And again, I want to see everybody still continue to participate. I know that, fundamentally at the end of the day, that I am a very wonky person. I like the 100-page packets. I like to go through them. I like to be informed. I'd like to, be able to stand on my laurels and say that I am making a principled decision on anything that comes before the council, and I stand on that. And fundamentally, at the end of the day, if I wasn't running, I would probably vote for Alexis Jackson, mainly because, and really, honestly, any of the candidates, because we all want the best for our community and for our great city of Roy. So again, encourage all your friends, neighbors to get out and participate, because again, this is a team sport. And we need more people involved in the actual process. Thank you.
That's a good answer. In my introduction, I highlighted several roles that I have been involved with over the past several years, and from those roles, I have been able to develop very transferable skills to this position. A few of these include reviewing and writing policy, contributing to thoughtful discussion and questions during meetings, collaboration with various entities, preparing and researching packets ahead of meetings, reviewing budgets, assessing the efficacy of programs within an organization, planning and executing projects and events, liaison skills, and persuasive writing. As I've been preparing for this campaign of mine, I have met with the fire and the police chiefs, as well as the city manager, to discuss their challenges and the way that their departments are run and what things they're looking forward to in cooperation with the next council. I've also kept up with council discussions. I've been there in person for as many as I've been able to. And now I am, if I do miss, I'm catching those online, which I'm grateful for that avenue as well. I've also begun recently a disaster certification through CERT. And so that's something I'm looking forward to completing. I've highlighted a lot of my volunteer efforts and a lot of my involvement in the community, and I will continue to work in those until such time as I'm elected, and I will keep giving 100% to those. That is what drives me, is involvement in my community and working and solving problems and doing projects. That's what really, really gets me. So I'm excited to be here, and thank you to the league for this opportunity.
So I think that I would be a good mayor for Roy City, because I know every head of every department have a personal relationship with them. Because most of them I've known since they were in junior high school. We have a good working relationship. I have a good working relationship with everybody in the manager, assistant manager, Matt Wilson, our attorney, and our recorder, Brittany. I had a good relationship with Bob. He's already kind of told me a lot of things, if I did become the mayor, what I would have to do, and he felt that I was up to that challenge. I love Roy City. I love the residents of Roy City. I know a lot of people through my business and through the high school and through just living here, and I feel that they know, and they've told me, they trust me, they know I will do the right things that I feel is best for the city. I will always be truthful. I always will speak the truth. I will never do anything for a vote. If you don't like what I stand for, then don't vote for me. But I will always try to be professional and represent Roy City in a way that I would be proud to be the mayor of Roy City. Thank you.
First and foremost, I want to stand for the people and the city. I want you guys to understand that this is you. This is all about you. And when it comes to what the people want and what the city needs, it doesn't matter what I want. It's what you guys want, and that's what I would stand for. And that's what I would push for. Like I said, it doesn't matter if I like it or not. It's what's important for you in the city. I like challenges. It keeps my mind busy. I have a lot of challenges in my work now, and I drive. I like that drive. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel accomplished. I'm very passionate about things when I start doing them. I believe that I would do a good job in this as mayor for the city because I have a passion. And I think that's what's needed. We need fresh eyes on these old problems, and I believe I have those eyes.
Since Randy started. Okay, I want to thank the candidates. We have another 4 set. I didn't think you would list 8 in a row on the same question. So I want to thank these candidates. You have to realize that if you run for office, you just opened your door and everybody can see everything inside your house. So they deserve a round of applause.